Hello everyone, and welcome to Aniprop. It's time for adventure once more. Enough rom-coms and romance. Sometimes we need blood, battle, conquest, and lovemaking. Lots and lots of lovemaking. Grandcrest Senki seeks to deliver just that in this anime version of Game of Thrones. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There's no middle ground. Cersei Lannister. Cersei could not be more correct, and the Game of Thrones, excluding Season 8, really follows this quote. In fact, I think it's the quote that defines that series the most. Grancrest Senki is the same, just a little watered down, so let me amend this phrase for the purposes of this anime. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you're not the main character. The reviews for this anime are either sparkling or horrifying. There seems to be no middle ground. People either adore this anime or they hate it profusely. I actually find myself in the middle, more towards loving it, however. The reason I find myself in this position is because I can see why the critics complain, and I acknowledge its glaring flaws, but I also really enjoyed it for whatever reason. I think the reason the complaints are so strong is because you cannot approach watching Grandcrest Senki like a normal anime. Let me explain. The geographic topology for Grandcrest Senki is huge, and the story assumes that the viewer is familiar with the map layout of the setting. No time or effort is spent trying to explain the map to the viewer. The army commandos are constantly talking about locations of strategic value, where to march to next, and which nations to invade. I figured this out early and busted out my map fast. This greatly improved my watching experience. I had the map open at all times when viewing this anime. I was able to place myself in each scene by following the map. The second thing the critics attack is the main character, Theo. Theo is a character that is as dry as toasted bread. He isn't interesting in any way and just seems to go with the flow, doing the most noble thing in any given situation. This didn't bother me because as a seasoned anime viewer, I understand what a harem protagonist is supposed to do. He's supposed to have very little characterization, allowing the viewing degenerate to project himself or herself into the world of Grandcrest Senki. The critics seem to be normal, well-adjusted, socially capable individuals that don't seem to understand the value of a standard harem protagonist. Their loss. They also complain about Suluka, Theo's strong-willed right hand and court mage. Eventually, through the course of the anime series, she becomes an obedient and doting woman for Theo. To these critics I say, have you ever seen a harem before? Moving on, the other complaints come in the form of critics indicating that some of the mechanics of the universe are questionable and inconsistent. With this point, I fully agree. Buckle in. I am going to have to explain the universe mechanics to address this next point. The world is in the age of chaos. Chaos is a mysterious force which is the core resource behind magic. The mages of Aramu are able to control the chaos and manipulate it as magic spells. These spells allow them to summon chaos demons, cast spectacular projectile magic, healing, etc. The mages then created crests. Crests are given to lords, with each rank having a stronger crest. So, as an example, an earl would have a stronger crest than a viscount. Here is where it gets tricky, however, because a crest is magic. It is therefore made of chaos. If a crest holder kills another crest holder, the killed crest holder's crest turns back into chaos and allows the victor to absorb it and gain his crest. It's just like Highlander. Or looking at it from a Game of Thrones perspective, it would be like if Jon Snow absorbed Ramsay's crest when they killed him to take back Winterfell. If all the crests are gathered up by one individual, they gain the rank of Emperor and obtain the Grandcrest. This crest can then be used to permanently destroy the chaos in the world. Sounds like a job for our bland protagonist. It should also be noted that a lord of high rank can grant subordinate crests to those of his choosing, and a crest can be willingly surrendered without murdering occurring. The final important mechanic is the battle flag, which is where larger gaps start to form in the mechanics. The battle flag is a literal RPG status buff. The crest wielder lifts up his crest and casts a buff on his army, giving them some status change. To this day, they have not told us what Theo's battle flag does. We have no clue. I've come up with my own idea, however. His battle flag is plot armor. He raises it up and his army wins for sure. Also, with the crest system, we see several other battle flags being used throughout the anime without ever knowing what they do. There are times in episodes where characters pop up with random ranks. I guess those were changed off screen. There are several other inconsistencies, mostly with the crest system, but not enough to break the immersion for me. Anyway, enough about what the critics said. Let me drop in my 2 cents. The animation for Grandcrest Senki for me is spectacular, but you can't tell by just looking. A1 Pictures clearly proportioned the budget to make some big moments a reality. There are several points in the anime where the visuals are not great, but this is mostly during the dialogue intensive parts. Some of these monologues are so boring that the animators clearly fell asleep. When it gets to the Sakuga, however, it goes hard. This is the same studio that 1 year earlier did Fate Apocrypha, and there are moments in here where you can definitely tell it's premium anime at points. The characters did not have strong development, but they are likable. This anime has a strong ability for making unknown characters notable without even having a name. Several characters on the vast battlefields are recognizable because of this. That way the fights don't all feel totally insignificant. This is what I believe is called fast characterization. We get a feel for an opposing general's personality quickly on the battlefield based on his appearance and instructions. They lean into tropes, but I think this is a positive use of it. Unfortunately, this fast characterization is applied to the recurring characters as well. For me, the only character I see getting any actual development is Siluka, who the critics argue actually regressed instead of developed. But we can both agree that she changed as the story progressed. And there is this woman, the Black Witch, who only appeared for a few episodes, but she ties in heavily with the core plot of the show. Everyone else just stays the same as they acquire more rank, land, and crests. This anime isn't perfect, but I'm happy I watched it. When I did, because it was just when the call for adventure was the greatest. As a side note, since this is anime and medieval themed, I expected them to double down on the incest. The romances were surprisingly vanilla. Anyway, remember when you play the Game of Thrones, you're either the main character or you die. So let's be mains together. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you next week.